I've known my friend Sunyatta for quite some time, and every time I see something I haven't seen before, I know I'm in for an educational experience. So the next voice you're going to hear, my name is Greg Carr. I'm on Team Karen. Yeah, there she goes. Hey, we were looking for you. All right, very good. All right, I'm going to keep this short. I know we on time, and so I want to say just a couple of words about our sister, our friend, our healer, Dr. Sunyatta. She is a daughter of Africa by way of both Africa and the Western Hemisphere, daughter of the Caribbean, between Jamaica and Cuba and every island in between, it seems to me. Also, all the New Yorkers in here, you know that she's got all 5 boroughs on lock, especially Harlem and Manhattan. I'm not going to short Brooklyn, but between all of her travels and all of her studies, both formally in terms of medicine and education, and in terms of the deep engagement with the culture, she brings all that to bear. And how many people are part of Maroon's medicine chest? That's what I want to see. All right, very good. That's what I'm talking about. So if your hand ain't up, you got to ask somebody and get in it, right? So what we have displayed here, she is going to walk us through how our power as African people manifests through the 7 African powers, manifests through the particular forms of the Orisha, as they have made their way from Africa across the oceans into the various places we found ourselves, have not only informed what we put into our bodies, but how that helps us manifest spiritually. She is a boss in many number of ways. If y'all ever in DC, y'all go to Calabash Tea and Tonic, for real. I know many of you all ingest like I do, but when you get there, go to the facility itself. You can see that healing spirit. You see these pieces here that are laid out from this book, Contos dos Orishas. She sent me this, so you got to read this, and I couldn't put it down once I did. So I'm seeing these out displayed now, so I'm going to be quiet and bring on our sister, Dr. Sunyatta.
How is everyone today? I'm amazingly happy to be here today, and I want to thank Karen Hunter. I don't know, Professor Hunter, I don't know where she is. She's probably on her way down, or, oh, hey, hello. I'm so honored to be here today. I want to come a little closer to you guys. So I love what Karen Hunter has created in this community of people who many of you have probably never met in person, but we're all vibing at the same, we're rotating at the same rate, right? Like the protons and electrons, we're all together. And I'm so honored to be in such a high energy. I mean, everyone I saw in the hallways, everybody that has said hi, just feels like y'all shaking, y'all vibrating. Y'all vibrating without the quarter in the bed. You know the vibrator? So we grown. All right, so so what I absolutely love is that we're on a frequency together. And just as light is a frequency and sound is a frequency, so do people radiate frequency, a person, right? And when we look at the word person, we're talking about the word per and sona, meaning sound, right? So each person has a sound to emit, and I love that we're harmonizing. Like the Clark sisters, we're in like perfect harmony, and I appreciate that. And because of that, I wanted to give you something that was different. I wanted to talk to you about something that maybe in more public spaces I haven't talked about, maybe in spaces where people aren't as their vibration isn't matching the vibration of everybody here, that they may not be ready to receive those protons and neutrons and electrons. So that's okay. That we're gonna leave them there. When they want to come in, they could jump in the pool, just like many of you were in the pool. They can jump in the pool of our energy. But as it stands, what I want to do with you is talk to you about our traditional ways to view those energies and give us a primer, right? A primer, right? American English, a primer, as those British colonies give you that weird pronunciation. The primer on the 7 African powers, all right? And every one of the 7 African powers has its own personality, just like we do, person, the sound, personality. And the reason I say that is because in our colonization of our bodies, taken from one place to another and brought to a very foreign place, and then the insistence that we not remember, right? The member, the person, not remember, not reconnect with that is amazing. We lost so much in the language, we lost it in the culture and understanding of what we were doing. But another thing we lost is the ability to connect mind, body, and spirit. So this conference is Healthy, Wealthy, Wise. And it is said in traditional indigenous African culture, especially where I'm talking to you from within this, that you should always act. We should always behave like the ancestor we want to be remembered as. So the question on our daily behavior and understanding of caring for ourselves and the others around us and our interactions in community is what kind of ancestor are you now becoming, right? So in the course of that, it occurred to me that growing up as Dr. Carr, man, Dr. I just love, can we just give a hand for Dr. Carr? Man. That brother right there. So I really appreciate him opening the floor for me because what he said about the Caribbean and also my growing up in New York. I grew up between two islands. I grew up between New York and Jamaica. And in the process of being in Jamaica, like maybe 3-4 months of the year, what it turns out, right, is that my understanding of indigenous cultures that still remain through maroonage, I just want to give those to you because those are the connections that we have in the diaspora, like our electric outlet to vibrate that persona. So, does anybody here, look, this is gonna be call and response, y'all. That's how villages work. I'm not just gonna stand here talking at you, okay? But you are not the father, you know what I mean? Like that's not what this might, I wanna make sure that we're talking to each other. So if you feel you have a question and I'm in the middle, look, we're in this together. We're all in the middle together, okay? And that's how villages operate. So who here, right, does anybody have an understanding of the 7 African powers or the Orisha when we talk about those particular energies? Anybody? Dr. Carr, put your hand down. This brother right here. I just said the nicest things, and there he is, like he's in church. Somebody else raised their hand over here? Yes, beautiful. Tell me something.
I was going to become part of the Yoruba religion, and I have people who are willing to be my godmother, and I have a lot of friends who are a part of that. And they said that my Orisha is the golden one, the one with the yellow color. Oshun.
Well, of course. Look at this. Look at these fancy shit. Look at the whole thing. Fantastic.
And I was getting ready to go get, I call it an alignment, but that's not what they call it.
I feel you. Come on and talk to me.
So I just had a reading, and they tell you some things you have to do after the reading. So I was going to go get an alignment because I can't remember the name of it.
You ain't do what you was supposed to do yet. That's
No.
what I heard. Okay, all right. But I love this story. I absolutely love. You better come on. Tell me your name. Zamarad. Even the name. Oh my goodness. Let's give her a hand. That's very brave. I appreciate you. She fancy too. And I love that you have Oshun's colors on. And I don't know if you planned it, but there it is. So here's the thing. Having been transported from one place to another, and we are scattered throughout the diaspora, the one thing we have in common is that we used to think of things a bit differently, right? So this is not a class, this is not a conversation about religion, okay? This is a conversation about energetics, all right? And so if we thought, like, what's that cat name? Copernicus? That our planets, that the sun revolved around the earth or whatever, you'd be like, all right, I can take that. No, but no, sir. That's not what happened, and that's not the way it works. So the planets are there in our understanding, but we just need the order. And what we have suffered from is disordered thinking with regard to our own spirit and spirituality. So let me say this. This is not a time when I'm going to be like, oh, the church is terrible. That's not it. What I'm going to say to you is that the Creator has a master plan. You guys know that song? Pharaoh Sanders. So the Creator has a master plan, and the Creator is boundless and endless. No? We all agree? Okay. All right. And in that boundlessness, the Creator, from our traditional standpoints, has no masculine or feminine. It has all the things. Why would you limit it, right? And we have to think about who's giving us that information, that we're limited within the capacity of how we understand that. I hope everybody here is that kind of inner Nubian that can handle this. Are we good? All right. So in the course of that, right, we understand that the Creator can be anything at any time. Omnipotent, we all agree, right? Omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, right? So having the Creator have a gentle aspect, a sweet and beautiful aspect. When you see a flower, sunflower, like your pants, right? And that belongs to Oshun. There it is. Absolutely. There it is. And what happens is, just as we think of these different aspects, sometimes the Creator is fierce. Sometimes you need protection and you call for that. Sometimes you need order and structure in your mind and your life and discipline to write those many books, right, Dr. Carr? And then we all, Dr. Carr, I'm picking on Dr. Carr. And we need abundance. We are asking for these things. The Creator provides all things. Our understanding has just been shifted. So I'm just here. The Creator sent me a message. I just listened in prayer, and this is what I got to give you. You know what I mean? Sue the Creator. I don't know. So what I want to do is talk about it, because this session is the understanding some of this herbalism from the perspective of the 7 African powers. And those 7 African powers happen to be on certain days of the week, if that makes sense, right? So they correspond to planets. And I don't know if many of us paid attention to that. We just are in this blind agreement that this takes place, right? That there are 7 days as an agreement, that there's night and day, and that's what they're called, north and south. I mean, our ancient Kemetans thought that what we think is south is actually north, correct, Dr. Carr? So, and who's to say? Because it's out in space. You just turn upside down, and that's actually your right side up, and the Nile flows that way. So we just have agreements. So in the process of that, right, our agreement has been that Monday is Monday, and it's the first day of a work week, but that's a programming. So you have Monday, which belongs to the moon. Tuesday is what? What is it called in Mardi Gras, right? When does that take place? So Mardi, or Martes, is what planet? We have Wednesday, which is in Spanish. It's going to be easier in miércoles. Thank you. Thank you, my Caribbean sister. So we have miércoles, and miércoles is Mercury. We have jueves, which is Thursday, which is Jupiter. We have Friday, which is named after the goddess, the Norse goddess Freya, which is their interpretation of who, my beautiful sister here? Freya is the Norse derivative, because they got this stuff from us, of who? Your patron. Oshun. Okay? So we have Freya. We have Saturday. What planet? Obvi, right? And then we have Sunday, the sun. So we have actually spun through the planets in our Kemetic and ancient understandings just through the days of the week that we call all the time, but maybe we just never thought about it. And in our indigenous cultures, right, we see that different parts of the Creator, because to us it's never ending and expansive, are pulled forward more on different days of the week. And even the way we name our children, right, is according to the day of the week that they're named on. How many people know their day name? Like Amma, which is? Yes. You're on, what day of the week are you on? Saturday. I couldn't hear you through. I wanted the people to hear you. Anybody else day names? Which is? Yes. I'm a Yah, which is Wednesday. So even in Jamaica, we have Maroons named Kojo, right? We have people named Kwame, Kofi. You know, we still possess those names because those are our traditional day names, meaning that's the day of the week that you were born on that marks that time. So how many people here know their astrological sign? Right? You know your astrological sign? What about you, brother? Hey, what's your name? Anthony. And he's a Gemini. And he loves everybody and everything. And he loves a woman who carries herself like Miss America. And he wants you to float on. So I'm going to float on. So here, everybody and everything. Which woman loves anyway? So, so in the course of me saying this to you, right? We have these days of the week. We have these energies that we understand as the Creator. We have access to that particular energy. And those things, we believe traditionally, exist in ourselves. Think of it like this. We feel like, traditionally, right? We feel like the Creator is like a cake, a really delicious, wonderful cake. And we are just tiny little crumbs off that cake. So it means we possess all of the things that the cake possesses, right? We just in a different form. And because the cake loves itself, it makes little crumbs off of itself, little tasty bits, to experience itself, experiencing itself. Okay? So some of us are the icing. Some of us are the other part. Some of us are the cream. Right? So we just have different aspects. All right. So as we go through this, right? What I did was I'm laying out for you the 7 orishas and some herbs that belong to those orisha so that you can blend your own little cup of tea that you can enjoy later or whatever the case is. Now, each of these orisha have a different aspect. Let's start with Monday, right? Because we know that is the beginning of the week in this. So I'm trying to touch where we all have an agreement, right? So Monday we have Yamaya, and she's called many names through different parts of the world. And it's absolutely interesting that the syncretism, you guys know what that is? Right? What's the syncretism, sis? Tell me. Absolutely. So in that aspect, what happened in our transport from one place to the other is we needed to still connect. And what we ended up connecting to are the mostly Roman Catholic saints. So there are saints that go for each orisha because we had to hide our traditional beliefs in masking that syncretism, right? So you'll see that all over Cuba. You saw that all over. Oh, is that me? Oh, thank you. Am I supposed to drink this? Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm like, is it for libations? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't start like I knew normally. I thank you. So we have as aspects, different days. We have sometimes let go of some of that stuff that we typically would know. But we have many traditions, right? So let me just go through the rest of the days of the week and then we'll come to that. So we have Tuesday. We agreed it was martes, martes. And so many of us have been to Mardi Gras and you're like, oh, I didn't really think Fat Tuesday. Okay, this makes sense. I'm getting it together. And even the colors of the beads that are used in Mardi Gras. Even they're throwing the stuff off the thing. They're like, show me your tits, look, whatever, right? We may think it's just a free-for-all, but there's a purpose in all of that stuff. When we go to Brazil and we see the carnival, we're in the Caribbean, and we see the feathers and we see the colors of the things. This has everything to do with the colors that even belong to the Orisha. So Monday, let's go back. So Monday, blue and white, right? It's the ocean mother. Yamaya is the ocean mother. It's that aspect of the creator that is nurturing and life-giving and life-bringing. Of course, because, the ocean is all that to us. That's why even when we eat like sea moss, we're like, oh, hello. Your whole life gets energized. You get all the minerals that you needed. In Jamaica, when we wake up in the morning, if you wake up with elders in your community, they will say, we're going to go visit the doctor. Like you see them on the street, they're walking, and they have a little towel. And Kel has been with me before many times to Jamaica on those walks. And then what you'll say, oh, good morning, where you headed? And they're like, gone to visit the doctor. And they mean the ocean. They take a 5 a.m. dip in the ocean and come back home and then start their day. All right. So we have Tuesday we went to, right? And that day of the week we agreed is Mars. And when we talk about syncretism going one way, it already happened the other way. So when these things are created in ancient Egypt, in Kemet, our understanding of horoscopes, our understanding of planetary energies, these things, there were the Greeks that took it and made their particular aspect named as they wanted, and then the Romans after that. So when we talk about Mars being the god of war, we're talking about Ogun. We're talking about that particular governor of justice, of reciprocity. When we say, oh, don't worry about it, they're going to get it, whatever comes around goes around, that's the aspect of Ogun. Ogun comes to administer justice because people who are under Ogun, because lots of people, just like you, Sister, they told you that you were, that this is the Orisha Oshun that govern, not Ogun, but you'll find people who are soldiers, firemen, police. These are people who are supposed to be administering justice. But just like in this culture, because the rest of the balance is not there, the respect of elders, the understanding of what comes around goes around, then this becomes the problem. But in a more traditional aspect, Ogun carries a machete, and he comes when you call him to administer justice. It's that part of yourself that needs to decide, am I just going to have to roll up on these people, or am I just going to have to be cool? I'm just trying to figure it out. And so with Ogun, you have this aspect you could tap into or not. The Creator has given you those tools. It's like, you know what, I'm going to hold on that. I'm going to just let them have that for today. But as Jamaicans say, today for you, tomorrow for me. So try it again. Let's see what happens to you. And Ogun, when Ogun shows up, when that aspect of the Creator shows up, he comes to cut off heads. You understand what I'm saying? It's a wrap. But what he does is he cuts his own head off in front of you to show you he doesn't play favorites, not even with himself. So I came, can you imagine showing up? Now you're next if I feel like you acting shady. That's deep. And that's the accountability that is missing in our culture now. There's a lack of accountability. Now, we're going to go to Wednesday. Ogun, thank you. Purple and red. This can't be any better. It just can't get any better than to be with the Nubians. I'm just saying. So Wednesday, let's move on, right, to Wednesday, because I could do this all day with you guys, all day. So Wednesday, miércoles, Mercury, right? This is also, as we think about it, Mercury, all the things that we have named, right? Like on Monday, you got the Yamaya. That's like the Mother Mary figure that they keep pushing on us. And every time you see those Roman Catholic Mother Marys, she's in blue and white robes. You got to really know the keys to how they will give you back your own stuff. And then in Cuba, you'll find that that saint has now been embraced as Yamaya, because it just came full circle. So we have Ogun, and then we have miércoles, which is Wednesday, which is Mercury, which is what we're talking about, these the pull from Kemet into these places, into Greek culture and Roman culture, so they have their own god Mercury, right? But for us, it's Elegua. E-L-E-G-U-A or E-L-E-G-G-U-A or Alegba. E-L-E-B-G-B-A. I'm terrible at spelling aloud. But get me on a piece of paper, I'm rolling. All right. And this is the great communicator. And the Greeks and Romans understood what they were getting from our ancient Kemetic traditions. And so this is that communicator, quickness, right? Even you got the thing for the FTD flowers. You remember what he has on his ankles? Like the wings. It's about delivering those flowers fast. They'll use our stuff, okay? And if you don't want it, they'll use it. So I want to make sure we are observing, this is interesting. So many logos I see for companies are based on our stuff. I'm like, okay. So Wednesday borns, or Wednesday in general, is that energy access to you, available to you, that is all about communication. And in a health aspect, because all of these have health aspects, right? So in a health aspect, this is nervous system. Your nervous system. Monday's going to be your water, clearly, right? Your fluids and water. Tuesday is going to be part of your cardiovascular system, right? Wednesday is going to be your nervous system, because that's the communicator. And in the pantheon of Orisha, if you have an event where you're celebrating the creator and you start, many of us have been where people are pouring. How many people have seen libations poured, right? Maybe here at this event too. The first thing is, what do we have as the first thing that, or thanking during the pouring of libation? No, not the ancestors. The first pouring is Alegua, because Alegua is considered the governor of crossroads, the opener of opportunities, remover of obstacles, associated with lavender as a plant. That's why often, traditionally, when I go to Kemet, lavender plants are all at the entrances of temples. It's associated with calming you, right, to enter a space. And it's that permission that is requested for you to enter holy spaces. Calm your ass down before you come. Don't come in here mad. Get your shit together. Come on through, okay? And it's also associated with invisibility. And Alegua can be conceived as the trickster, the Anansi, like we think Anansi stories. Have you guys heard of the Anansi stories? And that's one of our holdovers from our traditional homeland, is these stories of a spider who's a trickster, and he's up to tricks and whatever. Traditionally, that's true, and the reason is because Alegua will test you. That aspect of the creator is testing your particular integrity. That's why children fall under Alegua. Nobody will test you harder, oh my God, than children. You will understand your character, or lack thereof, when you have to deal with these people called children. Ooh, child. So that's our Wednesday. Our Thursday, Jupiter, Jueves. We all have agreed by even calling it Thursday, that's what we're doing. Thursday is named for Norse god? There it is. So if you have never heard of Thor, I don't know if you've heard of any Marvel movies, but when you see Thor and you see Odin and you see Freya in these movies and you see Storm, who's the goddess of winds and change, all of those are represented here. Because these folks take our traditional stuff and make billions. Meanwhile, we're like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? All right. Thor, god of, come on, you've seen the movie? Thunder and lightning. The Marvel done educated you. Sometimes you have to take what they gave you and flip it and reverse it and put your thing down. So you're like, okay, I got that, okay? So when I say Oya, who's the goddess of storms and such, and I say, this is storm, you got a whole thing in your mind. You're like, oh, I understand that. Governing the weather, winds of change, all of that, right? There it is. So we have Friday. This is your favorite, sis. There it is. She said she didn't even look up. Oshun. What? So we have Oshun on a Friday. Friday is Freya, Norse god again. Look how much of that holdover is there from the Vikings, etc. And we haven't seen, has anyone seen a Viking lately? They're not even around. I don't even know where they are. They got absorbed. They went and pillaged people to the point where they disappeared themselves. I did my DNA chart. It was like 20% of it was that Viking area right on the edge of Ireland. I was like, they get around. They get around. So imagine how much of our English still, think about that. No other language is calling it Thursday or Friday. They have their own, right? You know, they're Latin based. So in Spanish, it's Viernes, which is Venus's day. That's Oshun. And these are herbs and foods that are golden. These are herbs and foods that are sweet and full of honey, those kind of things, because that's what Oshun is venerated as. And so even the word Venus goes to make the word venereal, like venereal diseases or Mons Venus, that kind of thing, right? So it's sexual aspect, beauty, just that countenance. There it is, come on. She said, let me pull my mask down so you can see what I'm working with. And in her aspect, part of her medicine, check this out. Part of Oshun's medicine, which is Het Heru. Some of you may know Hathor, because the Greeks took that to make that, but Het Heru in ancient Kemet, so deep that this is a river goddess who can cure, can heal with just her laugh, with just sweet waters. She can take sweet waters and sprinkle on you, and you just like, oof, right? One time, in traditional aspect, Ogun, who governs fire and iron and the advancement of people in that aspect, decided to leave the village, and he wouldn't come back, and he took the fire and he took the knowing of metalwork and all of that. And everyone who went to go get him was slaughtered, right? Because he was just tired of people. He's like, they don't act right. We've all felt that. You know what I mean? I haven't committed that many murders, but So they sent Oshun. And Oshun went into the forest and brought him back. And the way she brought him back was she stood at the river's edge and dropped her clothing, pretending she never even saw him. Went and waded in the water, put honey on her skin, just like, casual, like we do, lotion down. And when he came close enough, she scooped the honey out of her pot and smacked him across the mouth with it. And he followed her back to the village. And it's really the essence of you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. And we still say that today. All right. So we had Friday. We did Saturday is Saturn Day. This is ancestors. This is structure and limitation. This is understanding of all divine things, because Saturn's the slowest planet. It moves so slowly that it has the opportunity. And so as we get older, we move more slowly, but there's something you observe by not running so fast. You're like, okay, I see that. You come with a better understanding. So herbs like sage belong on that. Structure and limitation of the body like bones belong there. And when you think about Saturn's aspect, we think about like Babalu Aye, you know, you guys know that, like Obatala Babalu Aye. So you guys have heard the song Babalu, like that song that I Love Lucy, that he stole that. He stole that from us and used it to make this career of drumming, and he's so exotic. And the truth of the matter is that Desi Arnaz is one of the heirs, or was one of the heirs to the Bacardi fortune. And that has everything to do with sugar and trafficking of human bodies, and the theft of our intellectual property on knowing how to make rum out of the offshoot of what we're making molasses. And the impetus for bringing our bodies and forgetting this information was spice and sugar. And so in encouraging us to forget this or keeping us from the drum, then they just steal your shit and make a whole career, okay? Because we know he wasn't a great actor, right? So singing Babalu in the club with the bongos and letting his hair go crazy, it's like, come on out of here with that, okay? So I feel like I went through all the days. Oh, the one. Saturn. Oh, Saturday, Babalu Aye and Obatala, which is all in white. It's that elder energy. And the reason why when we are in traditional culture, not dressed in black at a funeral or not dressed in black we're dressed in white. Because we are dead to the world. We're just blanking it out because we are in this space and we're just doing this. And so as an elder, you're not fazed by things that people are doing, at least shouldn't be, right? My grandfather said, you can't stand in youth and sit in old age in the same space. You've got to advance, right? All right, so we have some herbs. Let's rock and roll. We have any questions? Oh, God damn it. Fucking sun. And all I did was talk about the sun yesterday. I'm talking about I did a whole discourse on I was like, the sun. The motherfucking sun. I was just so happy about the sun. Shit. I've spent it yesterday. All right, so the sun, Sunday, right? We're talking about, if we're talking about the body, we're talking about what part right here? And what's it? Solar plexus. So our ancestors understood that each of these things occupies a space. So when you see those chakras, we talk about the solar plexus. Solar plexus, imagine that. They're talking about there's an area directly affected by the sun. They're trying to tell you something, right? This is that heart chakra, our heart opening exercises, things to let go of anger, etc. And Shango is our deity for that day. Heru, or as the Greeks in Rome, Horus, which sounds terrible. I'll take Heru. So Heru is that solar aspect. Heru is the king. And here's what you need to know, and this is the difference between our societies, and this is why I'm trying, you understand what I'm saying? Is that the king is not above the ancestors, not above the elders, not above the Orisha, anything. It's here. There are more steps above him that he has to answer to, or any royalty. There's no way you could just off with his head, this and that. We're going to invade here and there. There's an entire step. And if you're in indigenous cultures, there's a step called divination, which is they're going to figure out with counsel and counsel of the mathematics of the universe if this is a correct move. And if it's not, everybody has to stay put. You got to cool your heels, solar plexus. The king has to cool his heels because he's not above divine law. Okay? And so the herbs that go for that are going to be fiery, but they're also going to be tempered with like citrus. They're going to be tempered. They're going to get your heart pumping because that's the cardiovascular system, but it's also not going to get it racing so hard that you're acting the fool. Okay? All right. So I want you all to come up. We can have conversation about these things as you come. What you're going to do, you're going to get a little cup. Kelly's going to give you a little cup that you can put some of these herbs in. And I'm going to move these a little bit so you can see this artwork. My friend who's in Brazil did this really amazing artwork on the orishas. And if you have an opportunity, has anybody been to Bahia? Yes? And you saw how the orishas are everywhere. They even have a lake that has like 40-foot high orishas floating on the top of the lake like statues. Oh my God. They have not forgotten, right? And so when you go traveling, you'll see that. And you look in New Orleans, you look in other places, they have not forgotten. All right? We are remembering right now. We are together because we are remembering. And you deserve to remember. You deserve good things in life. You deserve to connect your health to these energies. When we talk about healthy, wealthy, wise, you have to mind, body, and spirit together. In our indigenous cultures, there's no way to separate those things. No way at all. We have to have all of them. And sometimes for some of us, this is what has been missing. Okay? Because everybody here knows their astrological sign, whether you believe it or not. But how many of us knew these things? But now you do. Boop! I'm holding you responsible. I'm holding you responsible for deputizing your peoples. All right? So let's come on up. Let's put some stuff in the cup. You're going to see this great artwork that represents these things, so you don't have to just hear me talking about it. You could see it. Bring your spoon. Bring your spoon. Hide your wife. Yeah, so here's the deal. Each side of this table is the same. It's mirrored. So you only need to go down one side. It's like a salad bar.